2023 is coming to an end, and I saw 13 new horror movies this year, and I'm going to rank them from worst to best. And coming in last place has to go to Infinity Pool. I just think that this movie, it had some cool ideas, but it felt just more like showing a bunch of random disturbing scenes and then calling it horror and just expecting it to be scary. Like there's like scenes where it's like, oh, it's just a person covered in blood. But it's not necessarily scary because I feel like there's no buildup. And our characters aren't really particularly interesting. Like, I think that there's some cool concepts, but I just never thought that they were fully explored. And I think that the acting is great, especially for Mia Goth. She gives a great performance, but I just think that overall the movie just feels kind of bad and just bland to me. And coming in at 12th place, we have Slotherhouse. I think that this movie gives this the edge over Infinity Pool. Is like, at least this movie is hilarious. I mean, it's in title. I mean, it's about a killer sloth. And with a movie like that, you know that this movie is going to be like extremely stupid. And it is. But I'm not going to act like I didn't have a blast watching it. Like, it's really funny because, and it's weird because like there's randomly like a reference to Psycho, one of the best horror movies ever made. And it's like, why? Why is that in there? And it's just so absurd. Like this sloth who's just killing people, and like they do like these, and they play it dead serious too. And then they do it where like there's these 3 slash marks from the 3-toed sloth after somebody gets killed, and it's like you can't help but just laugh. We're like, what? This is so stupid. But it's definitely a movie where if you're gonna be putting this on, you're gonna know that you're putting it on to laugh, and it is quite a funny movie. But that's what gives it the edge over Infinity Pool. Is like, at least it's pretty entertaining. And coming in at 11th place, we have Sick. This movie is actually like a pretty fun movie where it's essentially like a slasher, but kind of mixed with the idea of like The Walking Dead, where like you kill them before they contaminate somebody, where this is like takes place during the 2020 pandemic, and it's this guy killing people who have COVID to stop the spread. And it's like the absurdity of something like that is what makes this movie fun. And it actually is played like relatively serious. And it actually can be pretty scary. And it's only like an hour and 10 minutes or something. But it is a pretty fun time. Like, it's just your kind of run-of-the-mill slasher movie. But I just found it to be a pretty fun time, even though it's like, it's pretty stupid. And coming in at 10th place, we have Knock at the Cabin. I think that this was a cute little movie. It feels less like a horror movie. It's more like I hate saying it, thriller, but it is. I am grouping it into horror because it does have these horror vibes where what kind of makes it scary is like the idea like a thriller. It's like, oh, you're on the edge of your seat, like you don't know who's gonna die, and it's a fun little movie, and I think that the acting was definitely very good in this as well. But I think what just holds it back, it's like, I mean, this is also like only an hour and 40 minutes, but at some points it just felt kind of boring and uninteresting. But I thought that it was a solid, cute little movie. It was a fun movie. And coming in 9th place, we have Unseen. I thought that this was honestly a very enjoyable movie where you're essentially just following this blind girl as she's calling someone else to use as like her eyes as she's being tracked down by her boyfriend trying to kill her. And it's just a cute little horror movie, and it's very unique as a lot of it is just like we're seeing it through the eyes of like a phone, so it's kind of shaky, and it gives a good little spin like on the horror genre. Well, also like the main character who she's talking to, she's being attacked. I mean, it takes place in Florida after all. You got some crazy people there. But I thought this was a fun little movie, and I thought it was way better than I thought it would be. And coming in at 8th place, we have FNaF. I mean, this is a movie, it's fun, but I'm not a huge, I know what Five Nights at Freddy's is, but like I've honestly never played it. And it's a movie where I'm like, this movie had way more potential to be great, even though I did think it was a lot of fun. But it's like, it's a PG-13 horror movie. It's not super gory, even though there are some like pretty creative kills, like especially like when this one person gets like stuck in Freddy and then this trap goes down, or like you have like the scene at the very beginning, you're like, if it was rated R, it would have been a lot better. But I think that this movie had a lot more potential, and it's more of a comedy, I think. I think it's way more funny than it is scary, even though I did have a fun time watching it. Coming in at 7th place, we have The Boogeyman. And I think this is where it starts to actually go from like meh, like bad, to like meh, to actually good. And I think that this is a cute little movie where it's only an hour and a half. And I think one thing that makes this movie really stand out is its use of sound. I think it's really good with the sound, whether it's like, and lights, like where it's like there's flashing lights and then you see like one of the main characters before you see the reveal of the Boogeyman. And like there's a lot of like this little kind of added lore. It's like a movie where I think it's more like it kind of does like falls into the best horror tropes though. It's like it's more of what you don't see. It's like sometimes what you hear that makes it scary, less than when you see the actual Boogeyman itself. So yeah, I think that this is actually a pretty solid horror movie. And coming in at sixth place, we have, sure enough, Scream 6. And I've only seen the first two Scream movies, and this is my favorite Scream movie so far, where I think giving the Scream movies, mixing it up a little bit and putting it in New York allows for there to be a lot more creativity in terms of like where you can be. And also this movie is only 2 hours as opposed to the normal 2.5 hour Scream movie. So a lot of it feels like they trim the fat, and a lot of it feels way more rapid in terms of where you get to the kills. And there's just a lot more fun to be had, I think, with not only the aesthetic, but also a really interesting plot twist, as well as, like I said, like the aesthetic of New York, and a lot, because it's a lot quicker, it feels just goes kill to kill to kill in your basic slasher movie. And it's just got a lot more. I think this is the Scream movie. Like, when I hear about people who are big fans of the Scream movies, I'm like, I feel like this is what hooked me as opposed to those first two that I saw. Like, this is the Scream movie that I would watch over any other. And coming in fifth place, we have Megan. I think that this was just a really, really fun movie where it's a lot more comedic than it is scary. Like, I would describe it way more as a comedy than it is like a horror movie, although it does have a lot of horror moments. And that's why I'm including it on this list. But I thought this was a really fun movie where it's not only very funny, and it also does have the horror tone, but it also has a nice message as well, because at the core of it, it's just about like an aunt trying to connect with her niece, because like after like the death of her sister and then her niece's mother. And it's just at the core of it, it's just a very cute story about like connecting with family, as well with the horror twist, which I think that makes it great. So yeah, I would think that this is a really good movie, and I'm excited for the sequel. And coming in at fourth place, we have No One Will Save You. I think that this was a very good movie, especially considering this went straight to streaming. I wonder if they put it out in theaters, if it would have done actually pretty good. Because this is a very unique movie, as it works almost like a silent movie where our main character, like, she doesn't like speak. I don't even think the whole time. And I really don't think that there are like any lines of dialogue outside of maybe there's like one or two at the end. And it's very interesting because you're following this character as well as this alien abduction storyline, but you're also kind of trying to figure out more about this character because everyone in the town hates her. And so it's almost as much as a mystery as well as this alien abduction storyline. And I think that it all just kind of blends together to just make a really, really fun movie. And it's very, very fun and unique. Especially with like the silent film kind of twist. Where it's not a silent film, but it's not that much dialogue. Coming in third place, we have Evil Dead Rise. This is a very good movie, as one thing that makes this one unique, and this is my favorite Evil Dead film too, even though, I'm going to be honest, I've only seen like the original, and then I think I've seen like I don't remember, the Army of Darkness. I don't know if that's connected, but this is my favorite. Is this one only takes place completely in like an apartment, and it's just kind of slowly building the tension, slowly building the scares. And it all just kind of combines, I think, just to make one excellent movie where it is genuinely very horrifying. And it's just the slow momentum, and that's what makes a good horror movie. I thought that this one was fantastic. And coming in second place, we have Thanksgiving. This is just a super gory, super over-the-top fun movie. But also having it take place at Thanksgiving allows for the kills to also be way more creative, because sometimes it's dealing like with cooking utensils and stuff like that, and then like seasoning, like all this really disturbing stuff. And also like with the main killer, of course, being a pilgrim. It's just excellent. I thought it was just a blast to watch. And it was, yeah, like I said, second best horror movie of the year. And coming in at number one, we have Totally Killer. And I mean, I think, although this is much more like it's a lot more of a comedy than it is a horror, but I mean, there is a slasher villain, there is a horror vibe. And I just thought that it was just a really fun blast of a movie where it's Scream meets Back to the Future, because in a lot of it, it's like our main character interacting with her mom from the 80s, as well as there's a killer coming after them and her trying to stop her mom from getting murdered in the future. And it all just comes together just to create this total blast of a movie. And it's just got a lot of everything from comedy, horror, drama, all with this Back to the Future twist on it. I thought it just came together just to make an excellent film. And yeah, I think that this is my favorite horror movie of 2023. And yeah, That was my ranking. Leave yours.